degens, drip, and farm for poverty. So as you guys can see in this video, I have... She doesn't know who she is. And we're not cutting this out because I don't do edits on my videos. Hannah, my partner, as she said. So, and apparently Nidra, who decided to come in. You may or may not see her from the angle of the video. But based on the video we had last time where we were walking around Phnom Penh, and I brought her on to ask about women in crypto, and then a couple of you, I found out other women are subscribers to my channel. So yes, 98% are men, but I got like 3 comments in there that are women, so that's cool. And still don't have an answer to the question, so I decided I'm gonna play a little game with her that she doesn't even know. Okay. So she hasn't seen this, I haven't told her about it. But I have a speculation based on feedback that I got from some of the other women and what the barrier might be. So I'm not going to address that right now, but we're going to play a word association game to see kind of what the default narrative is coming from a feminine energy entity. So I've got here a couple of words that I wrote down, so all you're gonna have to do is think of the first word or phrase that comes to mind when I say this word. That's it. So the first word, actually I wanna mix them up a bit so that they aren't kind of straight into the point. Let's go with the first word being technology.
And what do you want me to say the first word?
Association, first word. Like, what does it mean? First thing that pops in your head. It's just word association.
Technology, like I think of machines.
Machines. Investments.
Money.
Risk.
The first word was failure.
Failure.
I have to say the first word, right?
Yeah. Risk and failure, okay. That one's, we'll keep that one there. Security.
Good place.
Good place, 2 words. The phrase is fine. This one's gonna be interesting. Cryptography.
Crypto.
Crypto, short for cryptography, that works really well.
I don't even know what that means.
Blockchain.
The first word that comes to mind is that new technology. I don't know.
New technology again. Okay. This one kind of interesting. Crypto.
Also, new technology, like new way of money.
Ooh, crypto is new way of money. That's interesting. DeFi.
Well, I know kind of what it means. I don't know, decentralized.
Decentralized. Safety. The last one, actually.
Safety. Safety. I don't know. Nothing really comes to mind.
No word comes to mind for safety. All right. Nidra?
No, I just see her.
Oh.
You expect me to say a word.
Fair enough. All right. No worries. So I just wanted to see if any of these sparked up anything. So nothing of a thread to pull on from any of that, but I do have 3 questions. So you did say risk was failure, so that is interesting. What is the first issue you can think of as it refers to researching crypto?
The first issue that I could think of. What again?
The first issue you can think of when it comes to researching crypto, like the first barrier, the first obstacle.
Okay, the first problem. Where to start? I wouldn't know where to start. Like crypto is just such a big thing. It's like there's a lot of different cryptocurrencies, right? And yeah, how to even where to spend my first 5 minutes on it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's an interesting thing to bring up before I go to, I only got 3 questions here, but that's something for you all watching. So fascinatingly enough, when we had the question, what is crypto or cryptography? And I think you mentioned money was one of the things that popped in the head. And that's pretty much what everybody comes into crypto looking for. I did as well. But when you understand crypto, cryptography is the encryption of something. So when you encrypt something, or you make it hard to break apart or to get into, or whatever the point may be, that is crypto, and that being what we've done with the whole ledger and taking a trusted organization and an entity of mediators and making a trustless environment. So the whole foundation of this new money system we have is not really about the money, but it's about creating a trustless transaction between people. Be that for goods, services, money, property, whatever it is. That's the real juice to crypto. But that's not why most people come into it, and you don't find out about that until after you pulled up the weeds and gone past blockchain and all that stuff. But that's what blockchain actually is a way to create a public ledger so that everything is verifiable and I don't need a mediator to hold on to something and say, I will mediate between you two and hold on to this, and then when you give me that, I'll give it to this person, give that to that person. That's our current society for everything that we do. So, interesting, because that's would definitely be what keeps a lot of people out of crypto. We're not familiar with it because it's that money aspect, that's investing and risk and all that other stuff like that. So you have to dig over that first layer before we get to the root of what this new foundation will be. So question number 2, how important does risk/safety play a part in your crypto journey?
This is specific to me, right?
You and generalized of women, I guess.
No, because if I answer that question, I would say that really depends on each person, because everybody has a different risk tolerance, and it also depends on the situation that you're currently in. So if I look at myself, currently I'm in a position where I, just for myself and for the people I'm providing for, I can't take a lot of risk, because I need to make sure that I have a certain amount or a certain cushion. If I was in a different position, or maybe if I was 10 years younger, so yeah, maybe I would have a different risk tolerance. So I think that the question really depends on where are you at, what's your upbringing, and which situation are you in currently.
That's a good point. I brought this up because there was a woman in the comments, and maybe also a man that talked on behalf of his wife, that both of them stated the same thing, that men typically are more risk takers, take more risks. And yes, of course, that will depend on your circumstance, but we talk a lot about this, masculine and feminine energy. So do you believe that women are less risk averse or take less risk and we're saying women in general, the feminine energy, women versus men or masculine energy? Which of those two is most likely to take on risk, especially unidentified or uncertain risk, so to speak?
Well, the very first time that you brought up that topic, I would have said men take more risks than women. I'm not really sure right now. Just thinking about it more and more, because I do think again that it depends on each person. But one thing that I could see, and that I mentioned to you before as well, women and some men can't really relate to that, but we women, we feel unsafe a lot of the time. And you might think like, what? Like why? And it just, again, men can't really relate to that, but even when I walk on the street, I feel unsafe sometimes, and it's just a feeling that I think nearly every woman has on a regular basis. And I would say in that regard, we already have a different perception towards the need for safety, security, and then of course the level of risk that we are taking. But then I think on the other hand, actually looking at it from a feminine energy standpoint, because when we fight for our kids, for example, we have to take a lot of risks. Like if there's, like when, how do you always call it, when push comes to shove?
Yeah, push comes to shovel.
When push comes to shovel.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I think there's definitely times where, regardless of who you are, you take on risk or get more courageous, showing strength in the time of fear. But based on what you said, I would have to deduce and assume as well that definitely when it comes to safety, security, that's definitely more of a feminine energy reflection or thing they would think of more readily than masculine energy, especially when we're talking about physical security and safety. Like a guy walking down the street may not think about is he safe or not, just walks down the street, you know. I go walk our dog at 4 o'clock in the morning and the lights are off, and I know I used to teach martial arts self-defense, and there's not a single woman in my class that would actually do that same thing. So the way we view safety and security is definitely very different, and that could subconsciously play into crypto, and maybe not willfully, but I know the definite mainstream narrative of crypto is that it is risky. That's what you always hear. You hear crypto, blockchain, Bitcoin, risky, risky. So if you hear the word risk always associated with something, and then you've already got a predetermined or ingrained physiology of risk or safety, then I think that would definitely turn off a group of people who are less risk averse when you're looking at safety and security. I don't know. This is a hypothesis. I'm not allowed to see. So very interesting. All right, that being said, what do you think is one step women can take to minimize risk and feel more safe as they explore blockchain, crypto?
I would say learn about it, because otherwise you might just like listen to, either you don't take any action at all because you think everything's just risky, or you just jump on something because it sounds good, and that might be the most riskiest thing, but because you haven't done your research, you don't know. So yeah, I would definitely say learn about it. Do your research.
Yep, DYOR, you heard it right there. She said do your own research. And that is definitely the best way to minimize any kind of risk and improve your knowledge on something, feel more safe, more secure, more confident about it. But on that, so that was my last question actually, but now I want to dig a little deeper. How do you do more research when you already feel overwhelmed as a woman? What would be one tip to, because you mentioned I think in the other video that's overwhelming or confusing or something like that. And overwhelm is a common term I've heard being utilized by feminine energy, so that's another thing to think about. So if the solution for safety and security is read up, learn about it, do more research, how does a feminine energy entity do more research when she feels overwhelmed? What's the first step? What's one tip you'll give my 2% viewers out there?
I think I wouldn't call it research, because that already sounds like, oh, I have to sit down and look through all these books, and that already sounds overwhelming. But whenever I tackle something that feels overwhelming, I actually like to do like maybe I call it the 5-minute rule or something like that. So I just put myself a time of 5 minutes, and I just do something in that regard for 5 minutes. And oftentimes I actually stick to doing that because I had already started, and then I find it's interesting or I find pleasure in it. But if we just look at 5 minutes in the beginning, it's not overwhelming because it's just 5 minutes, right? And we can even do that, I don't know, when we wash the dishes or walk the dog or whatever we do, right? So I would actually, something that you can maybe do is have a resource of podcasts or YouTube videos or so where very simple things like the concept is explained, and somebody can listen to that just for 5 minutes, so they don't have to, because that's actually the first barrier to entry. There's so many resources out there, so which one to pick and which one to trust. And then if I already know, okay, I can take that resource and it's basically delivered to me on a silver plate, then I can just take that and listen to it for 5 minutes, and then I already have a feeling of success. Oh, I did something.
That's a good tip. So guys, me included, that's going to be something very hard for me to do because as you see in this video, I'm very long-winded, but making bite-sized chunks to help the women, girls, ladies, partners, whoever in your life get into this, especially if you're trying to empower them for their financial freedom, stability, as well as wherever this will go, because it will be the future of how we do a lot of things. One thing I want to bring up that's really interesting, she said 5 minutes of research, and what resonates with me is Gary Vee's approach. He's like, don't do anything until you've done 1,000 hours of research. So it's very interesting to see, the research is still there, but from a masculine or feminine energy approach of overwhelm or whatever, telling someone to do 1,000 hours of research, I was like, yeah, game on, Gary. Sounds like a great idea. You tell someone else, maybe from the energy, hey, do 1,000 hours of research. No thanks. Who's got 1,000 hours, right? So there's definitely a way to categorize things so they don't sound as daunting depending on who you're interacting with, because yeah, one can sound like a bite-sized achievable reward, and the other sound like this mountain you have to achieve, but both are the same end result of getting more knowledge to improve your own stability, confidence, or whatever in the space. So don't send them to my channel because they're too long, but I'll try to find some 5-minute videos for those interested in that, and then people like, you know, that resonate with the longer content, can point them to us. So if you like this kind of content, drop a like, subscribe, all that good stuff in the video. Ask me some other questions. I'm going to be going deeper down this. As you saw in the last video, she still doesn't know what drip is. Could you describe drip at all? No. No clue.
I honestly don't know what
Yep.
it is.
So that's awesome because we haven't even gotten to any of that yet. But now I'll have maybe a goal to make 5-minute introductory videos on getting into drip. Challenge accepted. We'll see if I can do that with my feminine partner Hannah. So stay tuned if you want to see how that shapes up, and hold me accountable for 5-minute videos. That will be very interesting.
You just time it.
That doesn't work.
Well, then learn how to do it.
Yeah, it's not something I gravitate towards. I like to share. I like to talk with you guys, and I just want to talk. See, the video should have ended already, and here we are. We're still here. Cut the video. All right, see you guys. Until next time, live daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.
See ya.